had visions of him falling off and smacking his head open. Disney are very kind of conservative on how you can dress and look. I would say cast members do fangirl over Mickey Mouse just a little bit. Cast members have a certain way they point their fingers. I know the parks definitely inside out. Riding Space Mountain with the lights on, definitely. I would say, yeah, I probably would be retired by now. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome to my channel if you are new around here. If you are new, please do click the subscribe button. That would mean the world to me. So first things first, I feel like I just need to quickly address that I am now in a different background. If you haven't seen my last video, you will not have known that I moved out of my London flat. I'm now back home. I actually really love the background in this room. I used to have some fairy lights, if you're an OG viewer. I used to have some fairy lights up there. They are broken and it is the most heartbreaking thing ever. So my background is not as pretty as it once was, but I do really like it. Apologies for the lighting, it might be a little bit sketchy at the moment, just because I'm actually waiting on a ring light to be delivered, so once that has been delivered then it might look a bit brighter, but for now we're making do with what we've got. So the idea for today's video actually very kindly came from one of my friends. They sent me an article titled 22 Honest Truths of Being a Disney World Cast Member, and it was a BuzzFeed article. I noticed that it came out quite a while ago, back in 2017, but instead of just reading the article, I thought I would film it for you guys and react to it, because I feel like BuzzFeed articles can definitely be interesting and I want to know what they've said. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, yes there are tunnels, no they aren't magical, with a lovely blurry photo of the Utilidors. Yes, I mean this is actually true. The Magic Kingdom does have secret tunnels underneath the park, which I'm sure most of you probably know about by now. If you haven't watched the Imagineering story, they actually do show the tunnels, or the Utilidors as they're more formally known, in the second episode of the Imagineering story, which is actually the very first time any of the public have ever actually seen in the tunnels, or at least seen like good quality images of the tunnels. You're actually not allowed to take photos down the tunnels, because if you do, you might get termed or fired or banned or whatever reason you are down there. So the fact that they aren't magical is definitely true. They smell honestly disgusting. For me especially, I worked in quick service, so I was around the kind of restaurant area, and underneath Cosmic Rays smells so bad. From memory it smells like cheesy, but not a good cheesy. So yeah, they're definitely not magical. They're very run down and need painting. Obviously that's fair enough, like who's really going to be seeing them? It's just cast members, and obviously they can't take photos of it or anything anyway, so I definitely agree that they're not magical. 2, costuming department is amazing. So I have not actually been into the kind of parade costume area or like the character costume area. Obviously I've been into costuming for kind of my own costume, for my Cosmic Rays costume. That building is nothing special really. It's really interesting to see all of the costumes in their kind of sections, like all the Halloween costumes and the Christmas costumes, stuff like that. I did find that really, I guess, amazing, but I have not seen in the actual costuming department properly. I've like looked into the door before, and from what I can see it looks insane. Like it looks really clean and just how you would imagine costumes to be kind of stored. But yeah, I've not been inside it, but from what I've seen from the outside it definitely looks good. If you see a cast member named Chris from Orlando, their name probably isn't Chris and they're probably not from Orlando. That is true. So basically Disney have this rule where obviously you have to wear your name tag at all times. However, if you do forget your name tag, then likelihood is you're going to be given the Chris from Orlando name tag. I don't know the joke behind it, like I don't know where it started. I'm not sure if it was just kind of like a random name tag that was made and so therefore the joke came from that, or if it really was like an ongoing joke. If anyone knows, let me know. But yeah, chances are if you do see a Chris from Orlando, they're probably not Chris from Orlando. I did actually know a Chris from Orlando. One of my leaders was called Chris and he was from Orlando, so that was quite funny. But for the most part, if you do see a Chris from Orlando, it's definitely not a Chris from Orlando. There are parties exclusively for cast members and they come straight from every Disney nerd's dream. That is true. Disney Housing, if you're a CP, put on a lot of parties and events for their cast members. Unfortunately, the only event I ever attended was our like service celebration graduation thing. so I never actually got to go to any of the really cool parties, although I've seen they do like a winter formal and stuff like that. They also do some events in the parks as well, so like after closing, one night we had a like private ride of Space Mountain, and we got to ride it in the dark, like completely with the lights off and also with the lights on. That was super fun. I would say that's every Disney nerd's dream, right? Like riding Space Mountain with the lights on, definitely. I know they also do like backstage tours of some of the attractions and like the safari and stuff like that. Again, I didn't ever do any of that, but from what I've seen, they look really, really cool. We have to stay on schedule and we're not sorry. So I didn't know what this one was at first, but it's to do with like fast passes and basically attractions cast members. Obviously I didn't work attractions, I have no idea, but from my own experience being a guest in the park and also having friends that work in attractions, I do know that is some leeway in terms of scheduling with like fast passes and stuff. For example, I know for a fact that if you are a party of 4 and your fast pass is only for 2 of your group, then they will actually let you all on because they're not allowed to split a group up for any circumstances. So generally it's if 50% of the party have a fast pass reservation, then they'll let you all in. But yeah, that's a good thing to remember. And I'm pretty sure with the fast passes they give you 15 minutes kind of either side. Sometimes, depending on how busy the attraction is, don't come for me if I'm wrong, but from experience, again, that's just what I've had. So yeah, I do think they do stay on schedule, but I don't think they're as strict as guests would probably imagine them to be. Sometimes we stay in character even when we visit the parks as guests. This is very true, and I don't think cast members intend to do this on purpose, but especially from my experience, if I've been working in the morning and I went to the parks in the afternoon, I often found I was constantly Disney pointing, which I know is a very polite thing to do anyway, so I feel like that's okay. But I did find that I was a lot kinder and more polite to most of the guests that we encountered when we were in the parks as guests. So for example, in the lines, or if we were just like stood in a crowd around people, I found that I was a lot more polite to people, definitely. But yeah, I'm not sure if any entertainment cast members are watching. Let me know, how hard is it to break character when you're not actually in costume, because I would love to know. Cast members have a certain way they point their fingers. I just mentioned this, the Disney point. It is a 2-finger point, or you can use your whole hand depending on what you would rather do. This is actually a special way that we have to point as cast members when we're working. The main reason we do this is actually because it is polite. In some cultures around the world it is rude to point with one finger, and also I think it comes across as quite condescending sometimes if you point with one finger, especially at someone. Like, you don't want to be like this, but if you're like this, it's a bit more friendly and polite. There is also a conspiracy theory that in all of Walt's early photos in Disneyland he's pointing like this, and that's why they do it. I don't know how true that is, but I do know that it is because it is a polite way to do things. We're the best people to go to the parks with because we know them inside out, and it's also attached a photo of a telecast. So for those of you who don't know, a telecast is like a little bit of paper. I do actually have one under my bed, I should have got one out for this, but it's a little like leaflet kind of thing, and it basically is given to every cast member at the start of each week. And inside it is like a whole load of information on like numbers you can call for help, or where a character might be meeting that week, or like show times, park opening hours, that kind of thing. So I would agree that cast members are definitely the best people to go to the park with. Like, especially, like, even for me, I only worked there for 2.5 months, and I know the parks definitely inside out. Like, I'm desperate to take my family back just so that I can like experience the parks with them again and like show them all the like hidden stuff that I didn't really know of the first time around. And I think especially if you're taking someone there for the very first time, I think that is really cool to be able to like know it and show them and know how to do things, know how to book fast passes. It definitely makes it easier, even if one person in your party kind of knows the parks really, really well. Even if they hadn't necessarily been a cast member, maybe they were like an annual pass holder or something. But yeah, going to the parks with someone that knows it really well is definitely a bonus. We have to follow the Disney look. Yeah, this is true. So basically Disney are very kind of conservative on how you can dress and look. This means you can't have like tattoos on your wrists or on any visible part of your body whilst you're working. Obviously when you're in the parks as a guest, like, it doesn't really matter what you look like, because you're not working, so it doesn't matter. But you have to always be dressed a Disney look, so your nails have to be short, you can't have nail polish on, you can't wear jewellery, your hair has to be a natural colour and like tied up or in a certain way depending on what your role is. You obviously always have to be in costume, has to be clean, and you always have to wear your name tag as well. I wouldn't say Disney look is I wouldn't say that Disney look is the strictest like look rule I have ever had to like abide by. It's definitely quite strict, and they do call you out on certain things. Like the rules are definitely easy to follow if you know them, but sometimes it can be easy to slip up. We do in fact fangirl over Mickey Mouse. I would say this is true. The first time that you have traditions and you kind of go in for the like, especially if you've never been to the parks before, and a little spoiler if you have never done traditions and you might be doing it soon, maybe just skip this next bit, but for those of you who already know, or maybe will never be doing traditions and just want to know a bit more about it, Mickey Mouse comes in halfway through and gives you your name tags and your blue IDs, and it honestly is so fun. I mean, I'm not a huge character fan. I don't love meeting characters. I find it really awkward. I could never do it on my own, but that initial like time when Mickey Mouse comes in the room, it's fun, and it's also quite emotional. I didn't realise how emotional it would be because, as I said, I'm not like a massive character fan, but yeah, it's weird, and I definitely think I would say cast members do fangirl over Mickey Mouse just a little bit. If we had $1 for every time we asked someone to stay behind the yellow line, we would be retired by now. So I don't really have much experience with this. As I said, I've only worked in quick service, I haven't done attractions, but I can definitely agree with this from a quick service point of view, making sure you're in the right lines, making sure guests aren't cutting the line, making sure they know what's going on. I would say, yeah, I probably would be retired by now. We also tell people to get off the railing and stop hanging off the rope. Oh my gosh, yes. I remember one time I was on Greta, so on the outside bit of Cosmic Rays, and there was a kid swinging off of the bars that like go up the ramp where the entrance is, and I remember having to tell him to get off so many times because I just had visions of him falling off and smacking his head open on the concrete, and I kept having to tell him like, you don't want to hurt yourself, like that's probably not a very good idea to be swinging off of those, and he just would not listen. And his parents were stood next to me and they wouldn't tell him off, and it was stressing me out because I really did not want this child to hurt himself. But yeah, our feet hurt almost 100% of the time. Absolutely. So Disney do give you like shoes that you can wear for most roles that do have like really squidgy soles in them, and they do help for the most part, but oh my gosh, my feet whenever I'd got back to housing at 2 AM would be in bits, especially if I'd followed the day with a park visit or if I'd spent most of my day in the park. Being a cast member is a very tiring job, especially if you're only there for a short period of time, because you desperately want to do everything that Disney World has to offer. So you're running around, walking around all day, every day. You're hardly ever sat down. So yeah, I would definitely agree. My feet hurt a lot. Friends that work at rides with very long waits are very valuable. Yeah, I would say this is true. I mean, I tried not to kind of abuse the like cast member friendship thing a lot because I know that you can get in trouble for it, and I didn't want to get any of my friends in trouble for it. I did actually make friends with a very lovely girl on a bus once going to Animal Kingdom, and the next time I saw her, because she worked at Animal Kingdom, the next time I saw her there, she actually very kindly gave us flight of passage fast passes, which she no longer works in Disney World, so I feel like I can talk about this now, but yeah, she was super lovely and gave us fast passes. I definitely would agree that if you are friends with cast members, there are some perks you can get. For example, we also had like a really nice place to view Festival of Fantasy once, thanks to our friend Callum and his coordinator, who was super lovely about it. But yeah, I would say that you do get some perks if you are friends with cast members. You can make anyone happy with a Disney sticker, so we have tons of stickers everywhere. Definitely. You can even make a cast member happy with a sticker. Honestly, I have so many, and I never actually got to give any out myself, but my roommate Ellie, who was custodial, gave out tons of Mickey stickers for the 90th birthday celebration ones, and she would always tell me stories of how kids would love to collect them. So yeah, stickers are a fun time. We always get hit up for Disney tickets. Now, I don't know if this is just because I was an international cast member and obviously none of my like home friends were ever in Orlando, and if they were, it's probably because they were going to Disney World and already had tickets, but I do know that this is a massive thing with cast members and their friends and like immediate family. So basically, as a cast member, you get given a certain number, depending on how often you work or what your role is, like complimentary tickets that you can give out to friends and family. The one rule with this is that you have to be present with them at all times. So if you're going to go into the park on your day off with them, but you can't just give it to them and then them use it without you being there. In our training, I do remember always being told like not to just give stuff away, and it's actually really bad if you just give your tickets away and all of that. So I never experienced this, but I do know that it definitely must be like a common problem. A lot of times we get mean guests roll off of our backs. I wasn't sure what this meant, but I've just seen some of the tweets that like go along with it. And it's basically like being sarcastic when a guest is rude to you, and I would say definitely. I mean, I can't remember a specific time this happened, but it definitely would have happened a lot. And I do remember there was one day I was desperately trying to get an ER, and I was in such a bad mood. I really just wanted to go home and sleep, and I couldn't, obviously, because my ER was not ever approved. And a guest was being a little bit impatient with their food, and in the end we just had to kind of make a joke about it. And yeah, I feel like as a cast member you are going to encounter so many rude guests over your time working there that it just, sometimes you just have to be sarcastic because you can't let everything go to heart, otherwise you will go insane. Those complaints are like all things we've heard before. If there was like a genuinely serious complaint, then obviously we would take it seriously, but I feel like if it's just like, oh, the line was too long, or like it's too hot, then I'm not having any of it. Princesses are just co-workers. Now, I don't really want to ruin the magic with this one. I saw some incredible things on my program, and one thing that I really love is finding out how the parks work and like what the princesses do when they're not working. Like, I just love to see the kind of backstage operations of Disney World. I think it's really interesting. I don't really want to ruin that for anyone else though, but yeah, princesses, they're just co-workers. We respect parents who power through a full day at the parks. Absolutely, especially if you're visiting with like your kids and their friends and like this whole group of kids. The amount of times I would see like just 2 adults with a group of like 10 children was honestly crazy, and I don't know how they ever did it. I do feel really sorry for the kind of parents that have to deal with young children when they're having tantrums, because obviously they don't know any better and they're just in Disney World at the end of the day. Like, they don't know not to have a tantrum there. Yeah, I do always feel sorry for parents, and I always try and make an effort to talk to them whenever I was working, just because I also appreciate that a lot of Disney World is for kids. So like meeting characters and stuff is, they will just talk to the children, so I always made an effort to talk to the parents whenever I could, just to make sure they're okay, you know. Number 19 is we're great at telling stories. Absolutely. So something that you'll learn in training as a cast member is that you actually have to tell stories when it comes to things like construction. So if a kid comes up to you and asks why there's a huge crane in the sky, we would say, oh, because Buzz Lightyear flies up too high sometimes and gets stuck, so we have to make sure he can come down. And I think the most common one is always, what is the bit of wire between Cinderella's castle down Main Street? There are lots of different stories people tell for this one regarding Tinkerbell and how she uses the wire. For me, I say that I will either say it so that she can remember where she's going every night in the dark, or sometimes I'll say, oh, it's a zip wire. Sometimes she gets super lazy and doesn't want to fly, but we don't want to let her disappoint anyone, so we give her a zip wire instead. Number 20, people we work with make our job 18,000 times better. Absolutely. I could not have got through 3 months working at Cosmic Rays if it wasn't for the people that I worked with. Most of you will know by now that Cosmic Rays is a crazy place to work, and if it wasn't for the people that I worked there with, I would not have got through it sane, basically. So yeah, definitely. Our favourite people to talk to are kids. Definitely, I love talking to children. I loved talking to children and finding out how their day was going, what their favourite ride was, who their favourite character was that they'd met, like how excited they are to go and meet Cinderella. I absolutely loved doing that. As I said though, I did also love talking to parents because I loved finding out how they were finding the trip and what their favourite things were. I think because obviously as an adult, I really kind of appreciate seeing the perspective of other adults. So yeah, I did love talking to children, but I did also love talking to their parents. And finally, we tell you to have a magical day because we genuinely want you to. Absolutely. I think a lot of people think that we're saying that and it's like rude or sarcastic. It's definitely not, and we're definitely not just saying it. Like, for me, saying have a magical day to a guest, I did find quite cringy, and often I would just tell them to have a lovely day or have an amazing day. But yeah, have a magical day. We definitely mean that. I don't know of any cast member who would say that and not actually mean it, because Disney World is a magical place and guests pay a lot of money to be there, so of course we want them to have the best day possible. Okay, so that is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Comment down below some of the stories that you've heard from cast members, and I'll let you know whether or not I think they're true. And make sure to subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you all again very soon with another video. Bye!